Sometimes, as a woodworker and creator, the design doesn't have to be anything spectacular. The materials used can turn the simplest designs into something elegant and sleek. That is the case with this very simple tie rack I'll be making in this video. This is a nice and simple project that is made elegant by simply using two materials that blend very well together in my opinion. These two materials are walnut and brass. To start this project, I will cut the walnut to size and begin measuring out the location of the brass dowels. A lot of time was spent marking out the location of the dowels and the offsets from the edges. I want this to have a simple looking design but still be very symmetrical. Once all the locations were marked out, I began drilling the holes for the dowels. A drill press is handy here for keeping things straight and having a depth stop to keep all the holes the same depth, but you don't need a drill press. You can do this with a regular drill also. Just be careful to make sure you aren't drilling in at an angle. With the holes drilled, it was now time to cut the dowels to length. I figured out the length by using a few ties to see where they would balance out on the dowel, and then took the thickness of the tie at that point and cut my dowels to size. To cut the dowels to size, there are many different options. A bandsaw, a grinder, a hacksaw, whatever you have available. Just know that these pieces are fairly small, so be careful when cutting these. I happen to be using a bandsaw. With the dowels cut to size, I began the boring but very important process of sanding and polishing the brass. This makes a big difference in the end. When the light is shining on the brass and reflects back at each different angle, it looks quite amazing. After the painful hand-cramping process of polishing the brass dowels, it was time to move my attention to finishing the walnut. To hang the tie rack, I will be using a French cleat. This wasn't big enough to hit 16-inch stud spacing, so one French cleat centered is what I went for. Using a French cleat that is inset will allow the tie rack to sit flush against the wall and it will look seamless. I just used a router freehand to remove the material for the French cleat. Before gluing in the brass dowels, it's best to apply the finish to the piece. Rubio Monocoat is what I used on this project. To attach the dowels, I decided to use epoxy, and JB Weld would work just as good. The epoxy worked fine, it just took a while to cure, and I had some trouble with air bubbles releasing as the weight of the dowel pushed down into the hole, but it made a strong bond once everything was cured, so no issues. once everything was dried and cured, it was time to hang up this tie rack and get some beauty shots. I think the options here are pretty endless with this simple idea. You could make a tie rack, a coat rack, a keychain rack, a hat rack, so many things can be made just using these same steps. It's all in the measurement and the layout to get the best functionality to have a different design for this piece. Thank you so much for watching and supporting. Hope to see you on the next one.